All right, so there's one more thing to know about safes before we move on. They typically come with one last advantage for investors, and we've been teasing it for a while now: the valuation cap. Think of a valuation cap like a built-in guarantee for Carol, that in case your company gets too valuable too fast, she won't get priced out of a nice equity stake. Let's see the definition of a valuation cap on screen. It's the maximum valuation at which a safe will convert into equity. Which probably sounds like gibberish, right? So let's look at an example to make it easier. Back when she gave you the money, let's say Carol negotiated a $5 million valuation cap. 9 months later, you raised your Series A, and the valuation was set at $13 million. So the company's now worth $13 million. But luckily for Carol, because of that valuation cap, her equity is going to convert as if the valuation was only $5 million. And remember, a smaller valuation means a smaller share price for Carol. And a smaller share price means her 100K is going to buy her a lot more shares. We'll skip the whole math of it, but if you take away anything, here's what you should know. By setting a valuation cap, Carol is basically guaranteeing that no matter how high your valuation goes, she's going to get a sweet deal on the share price. But wait, how is this fair? She already got that conversion discount we talked about, right? Can an investor both have a conversion discount and a valuation cap? Yeah, they totally can. It's all up to the deal that Carol negotiates with you. Now, that being said, if a safe comes with both a discount and a valuation cap, then when your Series A comes along, Carol can typically just choose the one that offers her the best outcome. Okay, that was just one round of funding and a lot of stuff happened. Before we move on, let's give one last little visit to our old friend, dilution. At the beginning of this journey, you owned 4,950,000 shares out of a total of 9 million issued shares for an ownership percentage of 55%. Then you issued 100,000 options to your advisor, which reduced your ownership percentage by a tiny bit, down to 54%. Now, you've added a little over 3.2 million preferred shares for your Series A investor, and about 210,000 for Carol, amounting to just under 3.5 million new shares in total. Plus, don't forget, you also added 500,000 more common shares into your option pool. You did that before the Series A round, so it diluted everybody except for investor number one. So, what's everyone's ownership percentage now? Today, you still own that same number of shares, 4,950,000. But the total number of shares has gone up to a little over 12.5 million. Meaning since day one, your ownership percentage has dropped from 55% down to 39.53%. The same thing has happened to your co-founder, who now owns 32.34%. Your advisor owns 0.8%, Carol owns 1.68%, and investor number one owns a whopping 25.66%. And that is dilution. Anytime you bring someone new onto the cap table, the pie of issued shares gets a little bigger and everyone's slice gets a little thinner. I get it. This all sounds pretty scary and stressful, but honestly, this is just kind of how equity works. So don't take it as a reason to not issue equity to the people who make valuable contributions to your business. If you build a great company, everyone's collective effort is going to grow the pie so big that dilution will pale in comparison to the financial benefit that you all receive in the end. That's what makes equity so cool. And keep in mind, whenever you raise new money, investors are definitely going to ask to see your cap table before they invest. And it's because they want to keep an eye on all the stuff that we just talked about. TLDR, it's virtually impossible to raise financing without a very clear cap table. At this point, we've looked at your first major rounds of financing, the convertible round and the first VC financing round. We've also learned how new investors are added to the cap table and some of the ways the cap table helps you keep track of the price differences investors pay for shares of your company. And of course, we've learned all about every founder's favorite thing, dilution. It's a lot of stuff. You're doing great. Next up, let's now fast forward in time to your next round, the Series B. At this point, you're hiring more employees, and we'll start looking at the new complexities you'll see with your valuation, your preferred shares, and liquidation preferences. Take a break, grab some fresh air, and when you're ready, we'll see you at the next one.